Morning students, welcome to our YouTube channel Hardrock Skill Center near Fountain Chowk, Nagar. Our center code is 034. I am Ankit Sharma. Students, in previous lecture we were discussing about the security policies. So what I told was that it is a set of rules and procedures for setting up that employees or individuals and how the assets and information of that organization will be accessed and utilized. Okay, so there comes two types of security policies, which were port scanning and URL filtering. We will be discussing the port scanning and URL filtering in today's lecture. So let's start with the port scanning. What is port scanning? A port scan is a process which is used to determine the open ports of a network. There are many ports of networks through which the data information can be accessed or transferred. The set encryption and decryption of that data information is done with the help of that ports. So there are many open ports of that network as logical ports on any system provides a way of for information to be sent and received. Okay, the logical ports provides the way for the information to be sent and received. So port scanning is comparable way of knocking the doors of ports for seeing whether anyone is home or not. Like port scanning is comparable way of knocking the doors of ports. Like there are some open ports, there are some closed ports. So we have to transfer any kind of data. We have to send or receive any kind of data. We just check that the ports are opened or not. For that, port scanning is being done. It simply means that we just check out or we just go through that doors of that port scanners through which we have to send or receive data. When a port scanning is done on a network or server, it reveals some unwanted or open ports which are open for listening, which means for receiving that information. There are many ports which are used to be sent for that data information, and some ports are made to receive data information. So when we are sending any kind of data information, some ports get opened through which the data can be received. So this technique helps to reveal the existence of security devices like firewalls on the same network. When we are sending or receiving any kind of data or information, we just use firewall on that network. What firewall do? It protects the secure systems to get breach the security or to access that data information from the illegitimate user. This method or practice is termed as fingerprinting. This is called fingerprinting. So network security and its strengths concerning firewalls can also be tested through this approach. The firewalls can also be tested and the strength concerning the firewalls can also be tested from this kind of approach. There are many port scanning techniques. The first one comes with SYN scan. It is also known as half open scan, which send us SYN and waits for SYN ACK, synapse response. Okay. It sends an SYN and waits for a synapse. It sends an SYN and receives and waits for SYN synapse response. Once the response is received, the scanner will never respond again. Next comes the XMAS and fin scan. This is a particular type of scan that gathers information without logging itself in any target system. Without getting logged in any system, it scans the gathered information. Next comes vanilla basic scan. It is another scanning technique that tries to connect all the 65,536 ports. There are 65,000. So it connects all the 65,536 ports at a single attempt in time. So it first sends an SYN flag, and once the SYN act is received, it sends an act flag and back to the target system. Firstly, it sends the SYN flag, then it asks for that track responses, then again send the act flag. Next comes this FTP bounce scan. FTP bounce scan. File transfer protocol bounce scan. It helps in keeping the anonymity and scans by bouncing the sender's location through various FTP servers. There are various FTP servers which are being used by that bounce scan, which bounces or scans the bouncing sender's location through the help of FTP servers. Next comes is sweep scan. Sweep scan can be used to ping the same port for scanning across the collective networks, identifying which systems on the network are active. So this is the port scanning and their port scanning techniques. Now our next topic is URL filtering technique. So URL filtering technique is kind of technique that limits the existing or unwanted URLs by contrasting web traffic. It contrasts the web traffic or that unwanted URLs, unwanted kind of links comes into your networks. So it filters on those unwanted URLs by contrasting those web traffic against the database for preventing employees for accessing as you are a user, legitimate user of any kind of any organization. So you only have that access to the files or systems or organizations data and information. So when any link or URL comes into your system, if by chance it comes, then URL filtering technique is used to contrast those kind of unproductive, malicious or harmful sites to come into your system. So employees and users serve the different websites and many sites keep on redirecting its users who can ultimately track the users or any kind of malicious site. Through the help of these users, cyber criminals can get their hands by stealing beneficial information and degrade business productivity. Such unfettered employee activity can expose the organization to comprehensive security threats. So many companies use that URL filtering technique for accessing entire sites. So we have been discussed that code scanning and URL filtering technique. In the next lecture, we will be discussing about the malware and virus protection. Thank you.